Good evening and welcome to Ethics for a Developing Nation. This is ABC, the Amba TV, and we welcome all our televiewers. And we sincerely apologize for this late start, but I want to assure you by the end of the day, we'll be able to compensate the minutes that we have used. I think it's about 15 or 16 minutes. We'll make sure that we exceed our program by the 15 or 16 minutes. That's a compensation for you. I want to greet all the restoration defenders and those who are standing for the truth in this nation we are building, a nation of God, a nation of morals. And that's why we are here to educate ourselves on the morality we will have to carry out when we are back at home. And so I want to encourage every one of you who is listening to us now, share the link, invite other people so that together as we learn, it will be difficult for somebody to get into our midst and upset us when we are conversant with these ethics of how we can live with one another. Today with me in this our program, we have a number of our how do I call them? Our panelists. Our panelists are here, and we are going to go straight ahead and invite our panelists to come into the house. And of course, not forgetting my co-host, who is also here with me. What I normally do is that I like people to introduce themselves, especially when they are of age. So all these people are of age, and as they come in, we'll do our best to call them to introduce themselves one after the other. So we request in the technical room to send in the panelists for today. Again, 21 guns salute to our defenders, and welcome to all of you who are televiewers, especially those in the blessed land of Ambazonia. God bless you. Coming, where are the... Today we have a very exciting topic, and I am telling you, you will not regret joining us in this great teaching. We are teaching ourselves how when we get into our land, we shall be able to live practically and the way that everybody will be happy. Because the good book says that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And I'm sure we are beginning to get into the rejoicing aspect. Although in the course of rejoicing, we will not forget that there are people who will refuse to learn and they will remain in their ways. It's not our making, but in the society, you have such people. And of course, when a majority has learned the right way, such people can become insignificant when the righteous are doing something about morality. And so for that reason, you'll be brought in. I'm calling on our technician in the technical room to bring our people into the studios. I've not yet seen them in the studios. I'm calling a technician to bring them into the studios so that we can kick off. All right, thank you very much. Sincerely, our apologies. Technicians, sorry, machines, sometimes very good at disappointing. You can control yourself. If we're having problems with human beings, what more of machines? Okay. After my introduction, I said we'll be waiting for my co-host to come home so that we can kick off. But that you, the panelists, you are here already is plausible. I want to tell all of you welcome. I've already greeted the blessed land and the people there and the televiewers, introduced and told them that you were coming and that all of you are of age. I'm not going to introduce any of you because you are of age. So you will introduce yourselves. And so I will start with let me start with you, Dr. Titanta. Can you go ahead and then introduce yourself? And then immediately after that, Dr. Ndula. And then immediately after Dr. Ndula, I have Comrade Peter. Am I right? Yes, Comrade Peter
Yes.
will introduce himself. Over to you, Dr. Ndula. Dr. Titanta.
Yeah, thank you, comrade, uh, uh, comrade.
Commando.
Thank you, fellow comrade commander, Pastor Commando.
Commando.
Thank
Commando.
you, comrade
Commando.
Tom. Thank
Commando,
you,
not commander.
comrade Tansi. I would like to say thank you to all Ambazonians who are right now watching us, listening to us, maybe via Facebook or via your TV channels. I want to say thank you to our restoration forces who are making us proud. I want to let them know that we are proud of you guys. I want to let you guys know that there is no revolution without you. You are the backbone of this revolution. And please don't let anybody or anything discourage you. You are on the right track. Thank you and welcome to this show.
Thank you. Dr. Ndula.
Yes, good evening, fellow Ambazonians. Pastor Commando, good evening. Dr. John Titanta, nice to see you. And Comrade Peter Tansi. My name is Tom Dula. I'm the Vice Chair of the Ethics Commission. I come from Babisi LGA in Gauketunja County. And yes, I'm very happy to be here today. We're talking about financial conflict of interest. We know finances have rocked our revolution a lot, and things are getting into shape now because strong institutions and control organisms and audits were put into place, which are functioning to root out any financial irregularities. And we are here to talk about laying the foundation for a future Ambazonia nation where all those things will be regulated to the minute detail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Pastor Comrade Peter. Your microphone. Check your microphone. Check your microphone. There are icons on the screen. You see the microphone, the green place there in front of you.
Click on it.
Do you see some icons? Red, blue, microphone sign,
Your
telephone
microphone sign is
sign.
probably red. Please click on it to be green. Then you are unmuted.
All right. While we are waiting for him, go ahead. No, you are not. You are not on.
Yeah.
You are not on. Can we check in the technical room? Technician, can you check if the microphone of Peter is open? I've gone back to the technical room to find out if Peter's microphone is open. Oh, yeah. All right. While we are getting that done, I want to reiterate that we will recover from this time that we have taken. We will definitely recover. Can you try? All right. Okay, I would like to ask Comrade Peter to hang on for. Go ahead. We cannot hear you. We've called the technical services. We've called the technical services to assist you. So just hang on a little bit. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Now we cross over to you, Dr. Titanta. Before we dive into our subject matter today, we always like to have a recap of what we had studied before. Uh, um, that means we are getting into prep, as we used to call it, or revision, or whatever rehearsal, whatever appellation we want to call it. But we would like you to give us a brief summary of what we treated last week so that we can flow with this very important subject matter that we are teaching us, so that when we get home, it will not be a struggle at all. Go ahead, over to you.
Yes, thank you. As the name entails, we are Ethics Committee of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We are here dealing with ethical matters. So we started our program by laying foundations on how to report matters, report ethical issues. We for the past couple of weeks we spoke about some documents that everyone who is reporting any unethical behavior must use to submit those reports. So last week was a second in a series of trying to let the public know what are unethical behaviors. Last week we looked at the misuse of position, the misuse of position, the misuse of public property, the misuse of equipment for personal gains or for the gains of family members or friends. Those are unethical issues. For example, you are the director of an institution, and because you have access to computers, you have access to equipment, it does not guarantee that those equipment are to be used for any other purpose other than for the purpose that are related to the office which you hold. If you have a public, you are given a car to be used in your function. That car is only supposed to be used for the services that you are employed for. It is not to be used to transport goods to your company. If you are in an office with printers and computers, it is unethical for you to be using this to be printing your own documents or printing the documents of your friends. You as a public servant, you are called upon to preserve every public equipment that's in your charge, to conserve it, and in preservation, that means taking good care of it so that there could be continuity, so that generations after could still continue to use. People after you will use it. It is not because, and by preserving, we are trying to limit waste. Because like we look at La Republic, where people come into public offices and they see public equipment, they just think that they can just misuse it because it's government things. So it's as if government resources are unlimited. No, there is no unlimited resource. Countries, just like private people, the resources are limited, and we are called upon as you are called upon as a public servant to use these facilities judiciously. So last week, this is what we talk about: misuse of position, misuse of public properties. Thank you. We're not hearing.
I said thank you very much, Dr. Titanta. It's always a pleasure to come back and begin to refresh our minds and begin to, recapitulate what we had studied before, so that I can sink and begin to have a different perspective. We are just waiting now for that opportunity to put these teachings in practice. You are a very bright student in class, and you cannot put it in practice. it means you have head knowledge, which is practically a dull person. We will not stop here. We would like to ask Dr. Tomdula, who was present in the discussion of last week, to just add. Oh, he was not present in the last week, but I'm sure you listened to it. Anyway, Dr. Tom was not present last week. And so,
Yeah.
but Tom, you can say something at least. Yeah, go ahead and tell us something about the.
Okay, and you said the email was sent to me, so let me look at the email.
We cannot hear you.
Elizabeth?
We cannot hear you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, hello? You get me now?
Yeah,
Hello.
go ahead. Good. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, good. Thank you. Yes, talking about the misuse of abuse of position, it is very actual. All that is happening now in our revolution with some top government officials or former government officials creating problems, trying to create parallel structures, and taking government equipment for government infrastructure and using it for their private gains. Those are things which we are here to call out and to make people know such things are not okay. We are a nation of laws, and those laws and rules are to be respected. We are not just a bunch of people who know themselves and are happy that we come from the same Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia and we are doing our things, but we follow laws and regulations which each of us must follow, no matter who you are. That is what sets us apart from just a group of friends and acquaintances. So yes, this is something which everybody, especially those who have a post in government at the federal level, at the county level, or at the LGA level, they should be exemplary individuals who follow such rules and do not abuse their position and do not misuse public property. Thank you.
As we get back to Ambazonia, as we get back home, you will have no opportunity to carry out misuse of any property of the government, because sometimes they say, now government property, now government property, now you are the government. I am misusing the thing because it's called the government property. Ethics Commission shall be behind us if we do anything contrary. Let's find out whether Comrade Peter are you okay now? Can you say something? Are you there? Comrade Peter? Tansi? Comrade Peter seems to have been frozen. He seems to be frozen. Before we get into the introduction of the topic of today, I am glad and very happy to announce to you my co-host, who is right now in the house, in the person of Mama Manka. We are welcome, Ma. Go ahead, introduce yourself as a co-host, and let's see how we can go ahead with this subject matter.
Good evening, afternoon, morning, Ambazonians, wherever you are, listeners. I was just about to go to work as we were having technical difficulties. Reason being that earlier I had to delay in coming in because of the work also. So as you guys can see, we're juggling between work and being able to come and present to all of you. It's another day. If you looked at the way I was sitting, I was just getting ready to stand up and move on. But and then I heard Commando come on in. Today is another great presentation. So I'm a little bit taken off a little bit because I had become distracted. But give me some time, please. So let me get my bearings back in.
All right.
I welcome. Commando, go ahead. Let me take my bearings back in. Thank you.
Okay, please cool down. And sometimes, like I said, technical issues can, because we are not idle people. Once there is a technical hitch there, somebody is running for another very important duty, which is also for the good of the Ambazonian people. Thank you very much, Mamanka, for that intuition that is inside of you for the people of Ambazonia. Well, let's go ahead. Peter, are you okay? I think Peter should go out and come back. If okay, Peter, are you there? Can you say something? No, your microphone is still not on. I do not understand how.
Maybe please log out and log in again.
Can you log out and log in back? Go out and come back in. Let's see. Good. All right. In the subject matter of today, we are going to be talking about this very important subject matter, and I am sure that the 5 P's by the panelists have been put into place. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So they now have the subject matter in their fingertips because time was given for them to prepare. And so we know that they will dish out to us, Ambazonians, all of us. Remember, I'm saying us. I'm not saying you. No, it's us because we are also in a learning process. So if I exclude myself, it means that tomorrow I might be a culprit in the ethics matters because I'm just talking. So we are here as students to glean from these gentlemen of the panel who are conversant with this subject matter. And I come over to you again, Dr. Titanta. We are talking today on financial conflicts of interest. It didn't say financial conflict, financial conflicts of interest. So can you just go ahead and then unleash it to us, unfold it, unveil it so we can understand what this actually means? Over to you.
Thank you. It is very important for us, Ambazonia, to understand what is the meaning of financial conflict of interest. Anytime the word conflict means a conflict is used, there are at least 2 parties that are involved. There are 2 people at conflict. There are 2 parties at conflict. So there are 2 people involved here. So anytime you hear the word conflict, now, who are the 2 people involved in what we are concerned with today? The 2 people involved, they are financial. What financial? Financial sounds like just one word, but financial interest. Financial interest, there are 2 kinds of financial interests. As a civil servant, as a public servant, you are first of all a private individual with your own interests. You are an individual, maybe with your own company. You are an individual with your bank account before being a public servant. Now, the public also has its own interest, the financial interest of the public, the financial interest of the nation. So you, as a civil servant, you are to juggle between these 2 interests. You have private financial interest and the public financial interest. And if you are not careful, these 2 interests can conflict. So it is very clear that as a civil servant, we must distinguish between these 2 interests and make sure that these two are really distinct. And I want to call on us, the public, to that. You are called, those who are holding public offices, they are public servants. They are servants of the public. That means you are servant. It's not like a republic where when people hold this position, you go to their office, it's like they are giving you, you are at their mercy. No, you are the boss. Ambazonians, you are the boss of anybody who is holding any position of public office. And you have right, you are paying taxes for those people to receive their salaries, which is their own private interest. The only private interest that private financial interest they should have is their salary that they will get for serving the Ambazonian people. So now, where does the conflict come in? When they begin now to use their positions to intrude into the public financial interest, then there is a problem. For example, let me give you an example. When somebody comes into office, you have your company somewhere. You come into office with a premeditation that I'm going to the office so that I can use my position to enrich, to transfer money to my company. I can use that position to get money that they will give to me as budget to take care of my family. That is problem. So this is what I want to talk about, conflict of interest. This is where we need to understand. Most people, we're coming back from a La Republic background where this notion doesn't even exist. So we need to get this into our heads right now before we reach Buya. Thank you.
Hello,
Thank you
let me
very
test
much.
my volume.
Yeah, good. Your volume is okay. That's fine.
Is it?
So you
Okay.
can turn your camera on the other side. Your camera is so that
Let's see.
we can.
Is it better?
No.
No, you.
Yeah. Let's see. I've changed the device and I'm using my phone, so it's a bit.
Okay, leave it as it was. Just leave it as it
Okay,
was.
then-
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mama, can you go ahead, please? Before then, just 1 second. I remember what Dr. Titanta has just said. Every person in Ambazonia who is serving in the government office is a servant, public servant. And I remember one of the days when we had the notorious mayor, Albert, how do you call it? Tazong in Bamenda. One of the days we walk into his office, a group of men of God walk into his office, and when we had finished, he said, "Hey, Mr. Reverend Commando, walk out of my office." I said, "Mr. Mayor, this is not your office." The man got up and shook my hand. Say, "Yes, you know what I say." So he used to frighten people, and people were afraid. When I got to his office, I said, "This is not your office. This is our office." Okay, go ahead, Mamanga. I just wanted to bring that to come to witness what.
Greetings to the panelists. Greetings to my co-host, Pastor Commando. We have a new panelist today, Dr. Peter Tansey. Greetings to you also. Greetings to Ground 1. Greetings to Ground 0, and greetings to the diasporans. Everyone who is listening. We appreciate you. We thank you for coming to listen to ethics, how we are teaching all of us. As Commando says, we are teaching all of us on the ethics that we had, a reminder to us, the older generation, of what we had, and then passing on to the younger generation what we had, so that a great nation, Ambazonia, will be built, and everybody that is for everyone to enjoy Ambazonia. Today again is another very important topic.
Do you have another device there with you?
No,
no.
I shouldn't.
Technician, check off this echo. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
What is
I guess today is going to be a technical day.
There's still that
So
echo.
we are going to do our best. I do not have a device that's on. Hello? Okay. Commander, you wanted to go on?
No, I'm talking about the echoes for all of us.
Yeah,
Technician,
it's
please, can
really
you help
coming-
us?
It's coming from all of us.
It's from the studio.
Probably,
Yeah.
yes.
Today is
Okay.
a very important topic. Yeah.
Okay, just go ahead, man. Let's try to see what we can do.
All right. Let me delve into the topic. Dr. Ndula has already discussed about what is a conflict of interest and what a financial conflict of interest is. We are going to be talking about how to avoid these financial conflicts of interest also. This is really difficult.
Maybe Competency should check.
No, are you getting me? Is everybody getting me?
We're
Yes,
getting
we're
you.
getting
Yes.
Yeah, no, I've merely changed my device. I was on a laptop. I've moved away from the laptop onto a phone. So the laptop, the laptop is off. Well, not
the
off.
echo is
The
gone
browser, the browser is
It's
off.
good now.
It's good. It's good.
Better
The
now.
echo is up. It's better. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So please present
Ambazonia,
yourself.
we are an emerging nation. We are an emerging nation. So we are going to go through these issues and problems and we resolve them as we go along. Just like we have brainstormed right here in front of all of you, our viewers. And guess what? We're back live and smiling. When we have adversities, we have to smile through them. We can't make the adversities define who we are. And we Ambazonians are not going to be defined by whatever issues we are facing. We are going to resolve them and keep moving on. Today in particular, before I even go on, do you guys, Ambazonians, we all have the ASSC that is coming up March the 10th through the 13th. Please, this is for us Ambazonians. Every one of us in here and abroad on ground zero, ground one, and on in the diaspora. This is our stakeholders meeting. So please, we are all looking forward to that. In the meantime, let's go back to talking about ethics. Let's go back to talking about ethics. Today, again, we're talking about financial ethics, right?
Right.
We have we have the definition of what ethics is, or the financial ethics is anything of financial value. So now we are going to delve into examples of what financial ethics can be. I think, was it Dr. Ndula or Dr. Titanta who was talking about them? Who was the person, the examples?
Yes,
Can we have some
Comrade Peter
examples,
Tansi has not even presented himself.
Yeah.
We should
Okay.
start.
Let me apologize to you, Dr. Peter. Let me apologize to you. Let's bring you in right now. So we are going to bring you in to introduce yourself to the our viewers, and then delve straight into what you conceive to be financial conflicts of interest in government.
Okay. Apologies to all our televiewers for the technical hitch at the beginning. A little bit of correction. I'm not doctor. Just call me Comrade Peter Tansi. I come from the Mezam County, and as Pastor Commando said, we are of age. I'm really one of those. I was given a bus pass. This year I can go into the bus free. So that's a good one for reaching a certain age.
All right.
So now, I'm going to talk about financial conflict when somebody is appointed or employed as a government worker or a government employee. That is during the course of your employment. I'm sure Dr. Titanta had spoken about what should be done before you get employed during my technical hitch. Oh, not yet. Oh, okay, not yet. Okay, so this is during. So during your employment, what can be a financial conflict? Okay, it is, you do not mix government time and resources. So it's time and resources. You should separate them. Don't use them for your own interest or for your own financial benefit. So example of resources or use of government time is you go to the office, it's office time, and you move and you go out using government time, you go out to supervise work on your side, or you go out, you are using government time to benefit, because that is a job which is supposed to be done by somebody, but you are going out to use government time to do that. Another one is maybe using resources, which are some of the government resources are you might for your benefit. You say some lab equipment, some medical equipment which are meant for a government institution. You take those and use for your own institution, either a school or either your private hospital or some other thing. Those things are meant for the government. We should discourage that during when you are employed as a government person. Another one is maybe before you were appointed, you already had a business. To avoid conflict of interest, we are proposing that will come out with the rule that either you sell the business during your time of appointment, or you hand it over to an independent management body, so that you should not, if that is related to your appointment, you should not mix the two so that they conflict, and you might be giving yourself more benefit, or your company might be benefiting more than the other people. So if you give it to independent management or government, or you sell it during that time, then that is okay. Those are just some of the few examples I've mentioned. Maybe if you come back to me, then I say what happens, because it's not only nice to say these are examples. These things should be monitored. These things should be investigated if things occur. So maybe I'll leave that part for if we come around again.
Thank you.
We will definitely come
Thank you.
round. We will definitely come round. So, yeah, over to you, Mamanka.
Okay, thank you. You say I should call you. You don't want me to call you doctor, so I'm going to call you Mr. Tansy. Mr. Tansy.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that presentation. So now, Dr. Chitanta, I'm coming to you.
No,
I have.
Dr. Ndula has not spoken, I suppose.
Has he?
Well, I'm
No.
still coming. My part is I've spoken.
Oh, okay. Your part is still coming. All right, go ahead. Go
Yes,
ahead,
my
Mamanka.
part is coming. It's okay.
Let me talk to Dr. Chitanta, and then Dr. Ndula, you would be the next person. So, if we have to, how would Dr. Chitanta, how would you prevent financial conflict of interest in government? What do you think should be done to prevent financial conflict in government?
As we will see, as we have already started seeing, listening and hearing from Comrade Tansy, Peter Tansy, that there are three kinds of financial conflict. There are three stages that financial conflict can occur. It can occur before you enter into public service. It can occur while you are into public service. It can occur while you are about to leave public service. So in each of these cases, we must set up rules that will make sure that these things are checked. And the first rule that we think is, which is very important to set up, is the disclosure of your private assets. Anybody who is soliciting public position must first of all feel a form of public declaring their assets, that it is well known and that well reported to the government that anybody can have access, so that at the end of their term of service, when they are about to leave government, people, they can go back and see What did they acquire along while? Was it consistent with what they earn as salary, or it was far beyond? Because, like, for example, you see people go in a director or a civil servant in a public service. They come out with mansions all over the place. When their salary in the Republic, for example, their salary was just maybe 150,000. You have mansions of worth billions of dollars. Clearly, there has been some conflict of interest while they were at service. So again, so these things need to be. We must ask people to. We must prepare forms that people, when they come into office, they must fill those forms, and those forms must be kept. And even every year, I think while they are in service, every year they should continue to reporting if there is any conflict, anything that has changed in their situation that can be tantamount to any financial conflict of interest. So there should be a constant annual review of those situations. So those are things in play, and we must set up independent commissions that will examine anytime there is such a report of financial mishandling. That this independent commission, which must be made of highly ethical people of high moral standard, they will pass through them. And it is very important that these people be independent, be very independent, that nobody be far beyond any prejudice. Thank you.
Dr. Ndula.
Yes.
Dr. Ndula, you have been sitting so patiently, listening so patiently,
Yes,
and Dr. Titanta has given us a very awesome information on before you come in, while you are in, on your way out, how we are to monitor and make sure that everybody who decides to join government and work in government is supposed to disclose their assets. So is there any more information you would like to add to this presentation by Dr. Titanta?
Yes, Mamanka, thank you. Yes, they spoke about what is to be done when somebody comes into government, so as to monitor your riches before and during and afterwards. There is supposed to be like a disclosure, a form of disclosure where you disclose what you have, what you are bringing into the office as personal assets, so that later on they will know if after 1 year of service you've bought 2 mansions somewhere and you've bought a private plane, then heads will eyes will start rolling, and then people will have to ask, where did you get that from? So as I said, every year you are to fill a form again, you are to be checked, and so they see that you've not there are no irregularities. So and even after you leave office, after you've left office, there are still things that you can do that would be of conflict of interest, especially financially. That will be, it will be at conflict to your former position in government, because you have to treat the government as a whole, and then you having some knowledge, having some insight about the running of government, so you can influence those even long after you left office. So there are, as far as I know, in Germany here, there are restrictions for that. That is, for example, if you are a member of the cabinet, after you leave cabinet, so you have to be, you have to go for 18 months before you can freely get into any job that would not be considered a conflict of interest. If within that time you are offered a position somewhere to do something which remotely or not even remotely is connected to your function in government, you have the duty to inform the government in place that you are about to take this position. Then they will have to look into it and then say yes or no. And if it is after those 18 months, you don't even need to inform the government. You can go ahead and then do your business. And then there are very sensitive areas like in defense, like in the courts, magistrates in high courts, justices, lawyers in lower courts also, and civil servants. For them, it is stricter. When they leave office, 5 good years after they have left office, they are not allowed to just go into any business or any transactions that might jeopardize the smooth running of the government that are of conflict of interest. So if within that time they are offered any position or they want to do any transaction, any businesses, then they are obliged to contact the government in place and then say, well, I want to do this and that, and how does it look like, for the government to give the go ahead. But if it is 5 years after they've left their position, then they are free to do whatever they want. Yes, so those are the guidelines here in Germany, approximately. So something approximate has to be done in Ambazonia when we get there. But even before we go there, we all know that financial irregularities have rocked our revolution since the time of former President Sisiko up till now. My trip to Boya, Changshu boys, all types of monies that were collected, and then they were not really well accounted for. And now, it really brought some problems into the revolution. And some people are bent on, even after there has been audit committees set up, people came there and testified, and some were cleared of those allegations, but it still sticks into some people's head. Some people refuse to learn and then know the truth and go along with it. So those institutions are very, very important, even during our revolution now, so that we be strict on ourselves, how we conduct, how we go about buying materials for to prosecute our revolution. So if you look at the situation today compared to 2 years, 3 years ago, the situation under the present leadership of President Sako and his cabinet, strong institutions have been set in place. The audit committee, before whom members of government, including the president, have had to testify, and regular audits are being done of departments. So all those things have led to better functioning of the government. Of course, there are still some financial irregularities going on, but people are brought to book, and those things are talked about. And well, we don't have courts now. We don't have prisons to throw people into or fines to levy on people, but we document all that and then give people a fair chance of hearing at the audit committee. So all those things, when they come out, whatever is found, somebody is found wanting, holding money of Ambazonians, that he or she cannot account how that money was used or spent. All those things, the books will be opened when we get to Boya, and then all those things properly prosecuted. So those are the things that I can talk about concerning our revolution now. Even now, when you have left a position of government, of our interim government, then yes, you should. It should be incumbent upon you to do everything you can, not to get into some financial conflict of interest that might jeopardize the government you have served. So that is our part that we can play here in the diaspora to help our suffering people back home. Thank you.
Thank you. Pastor Commando, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ndula. We are learning. And if you are an Ambazonia, don't be glad that we don't have courts here, we don't have prisons here, and we don't have places of discipline, because we are just giving this information and teaching us that when we get back home, this will be implemented. So those of you who think you are doing here with impunity, your names are being recorded, and an archive, a file is kept, which if you happen to get into that land, we shall remember you. We are building and we are putting a precedence, and it shall work. Yeah, I just want to come back and make a little comment to what when Comrade Peter was talking. He says he's of age and that he's an elder. He was given. I want to say that 2 years ago here in this country, I was given an eldership privilege. I had a free ticket to travel to anywhere and so on. And after 1 year, I mean last year, they revoked my eldership, so I'm no more an elder.
You became younger.
they, they changed their status.
Did you change your
They changed
age?
No, they changed their status and then increased the elderly age, and discovered I wasn't qualified for that elderly age that they have just changed. So instead of just taking from the others that were now reaching the elderly age that I had before I had those documents, one of the days I went to the train station and I put in my card. It didn't work. I was like, excuse me. I put it again, it didn't work. I called the guard because I said, oh, please, sorry. People, elders of your age have been rejected from being elders. So you are no more an elder. You need 3 more years to become an elder. Very interesting. Very interesting. So, but now I'm not an elder again, but I was an elder before I was promoted from being.
Yeah.
My age did not change. No, my age did not change. It was the age that they had put for an age limit for people to become elders. All right. Now they are teaching us exactly what we are planning to go do back at home. When you get back home, as we are teaching in this ethics commission, what we are going to be doing, if you are discovered, like Dr. Titanta Ndula has said, if we discover that you are not only having more than what you were earning, in fact, Ambazonia will get to a point where we will apply what was used to be applicable in the biblical days, in the Old Testament. When you steal something and you are unable to pay, they will grab you, sell your children, and sell your house in order to pay back what you have stolen. So Ambazonians, just get ready, because those are the moral virtues that we shall be practicing. If you have stolen anything that belongs to the people, just get ready that you will be sold. And I'm sure Dr. Titanta and many of you here who have read through the pages or went to Sunday school, you know of that prophet when he died, before Elijah made production of oil, and then they had to sell to pay the debt of the husband. Yeah, because when you don't pay the debt and they cannot get you, even if you die, they will get your children and get your uncles, anybody that has benefited from you, they will sell them. So Ambazonia is going to be practicing that kind of stringent method so that people should stop stealing the property of the people for themselves. But the laxity and the lousiness that is going on in Africa and where we came from is as a result of no discipline, no punishment for defaulters. So with that, we cross back to you, Comrade Peter, to go ahead and complete your story. Not really a story. Tell us and teach us what it actually will take for somebody who is actually in government now. And when you look at the comparative, you compare his salary and his production outside there, you see a financial conflict in what he is doing. Can you go ahead and explain to us such a situation? What do we do and how to curb it?
Yeah, that's great. A very good question. Because presently, mostly what is happening is, um, we've put on a mindset in which those who steal or benefit, let's use the word, those who benefit or from this financial conflict are really hailed in society. So we have to move to a situation, as we're saying, use those forms to monitor people. If let's use the present system, a category D officer in a certain um, ministry will build mansions. Meanwhile, a category A officer in another, and the population will hail that person for building a very big mansion. And then a category A officer in another ministry cannot achieve such, and goes on retirement, and they say, oh, you were working on government, you could not do. See, that smaller person is built a big mansion. So in the fact, we've put a mindset where the population is encouraging this financial conflict of interest, and people are benefiting from it. So to avoid this, as I was saying, it is not only a matter of you signing in when you are coming, disclosure when you are coming in. During your work, you would be given awareness training. So somebody would be in charge of you, maybe your boss or this independent, competent extra body, which will be doing awareness training for all of us. So every year, you are reminded that, at least you forget, you are reminded that these are the set of things that you should not do to gain financially. So awareness training is one of them. Monitoring is one of them. Accepting whistle blowing to this body or to this independent body, so that when the whistle blowing goes on, has been put on, and somebody is suspected, and then that independent, competent body can investigate it. So that is very important. Encouraging awareness training, monitoring, encouraging whistle blowing. So you will not just go and build a mansion somewhere, somebody will report it and they will try to investigate, and they think you don't know. So that is great. But before I go, one major example, we also have to promote our economy and make people be use their initiative and promote the economy and employment. So there are exceptions to this where people can benefit financially. Take the example that we should exclude is like university lecturers who are doing research in a certain field. So if they come out with a certain invention which is going to employ thousands of people, and going to create a company which employ people, give taxes to government, this university lecturer and his set of students who came out with that research and came out with that product, we should allow them to benefit financially from that, although they were doing their work. So I just thought they would be like to say, they always say in any rule, there are always exceptions to make the rule complete. I think this is one that we should encourage and let them benefit financially from that. So I think that is what I have to say. But I'll add one thing before I go. As we're saying, I liked one of our previous program, which said this financial conflict of interest or ethical behavior should start from the top. I really like that bit. It should start from the top. If we're after a small, divisional levels, county level, LGA levels, and leave those at the top, the minister, the Amba one, whoever they are, it's not going to work. So it should start with Amba one. The Amba one should be monitored. The Amba one should be, if there's whistleblowing, it should be investigated. I like that bit of the program. So, because even when Amba one starts and puts on this behavior, it trickles down. It trickles down immediately. And so much will even hold in place without effort. But if the Amba one and those immediately behind them don't respect this, then maybe we are wasting our time. So that was my own contribution.
Wow.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Tansey. That was awesome. This is why we now have the ethics committee on television right now, because we are starting to monitor ourselves, starting from the top level, including those in government and including ourselves, so that we can control all the improprieties right while we are establishing, and then continue when we are back on Amber land. Thank you for that. I want to also include, just to add to what Mr. Peter Tansey has said, that not only are we talking about research, we have to give some guidelines on how research, people who do research should be compensated. Otherwise, we are not going to have that research in our own environments. And we know that research is what actually develops a lot of medication. So that's why if you see pharmaceuticals, when you see researchers in pharmaceutical companies, they are actually awarded a certain amount of money, a percentage of their research. Otherwise, we will not have a lot of pharmaceuticals, and we know how medicine benefits us. So, of course, with every ethical conflict, there is made. That's why we have the committees to investigate and decide what can be done if that comes to and becomes an issue. Dr. Commando, back to you again.
Okay, thank you very much. Statesman Peter Tansey mentioned what we did also say last week concerning time factor when it comes to people who go to the government office. You get down there, they have 8 hours of work and not 8 hours at work. 8 hours of work, you go in there, remove your coat and hang on the chair. People's files are there that you're supposed to have treated. You don't treat them, you go out drinking. I think Ambazonians should note that at this juncture, as we are teaching us, when we get back home, it will not be the same. I want to come to you, Dr. Ndula, and find out from you. When it comes to implementing some of these things that we are teaching here, good enough, we say it's going to start from those who are on top before it slows down to the people down there. When people who are on top see this unscrupulous way of carrying out things that are not very comely and healthy to the social well-being of our people, and want to put stringent methods so that people can follow it, and people come out with all kinds of intimidations, allegations, and talks, and calling them dictators, just to frighten them not to implement the right way, because the old dirty and stealing way has entered into the blood and sockets of people. Now to remove it, they come to say, oh, it is because you are a dictator, or it's because you are this. For example, trying to follow the constitution, even at this interim constitution, people say dictator, dictator, he hanging on to power and saying all sorts of things. Dr. Ndula, what do you take in that, and what do you advise? Should they chicken out and run away and say, okay, if that's the situation, all right, or what should they do ethically?
Yes, thank you, Pastor Commando, for that question. You know, we've been an appendage of La République du Cameroon for the past 60 plus years. Their ways have so been imbibed into us that at times it is difficult to separate from it. But the core of us that are adhering to our interim constitution, wherein all those things are laid out, how we tackle this and that. We talked about the code of conduct, code of ethics for government officials and for all Ambazonians. that we start with that. And of course, if I'm guilty of something and then I'm confronted with it, due to ego, at times you might try to say, well, no, this, that. I mean, I don't see into that. You have to audit that other person first. You have to first of all audit your own self. It's ridiculous when you appear in front of the court and then you are being accused of something, and then a judge talks of something and passes down a sentence. You don't come in there and then say, look, Judge, as you were little, I knew you stole mangoes from your neighbor's mango tree and all that. So we should first of all talk about that first. No, you are being accused and then you are there to face the charges. So we are calling upon each of us, because now we don't have courts, we don't have prisons, we don't have policemen to go after you and then force you to come to court. We are appealing to each and every one of us to be to have a conscience, to see to it that they do their job to the best of their ability, especially if you are handling money, if you are or any material belonging to the state, that you use it in a way that is ethical, in a way that benefits the majority of Ambazonians and not for personal use. Because some people know, I mean, they know that now, well, if you are giving some money to go and buy material, you go and do what you want with that money, and then come and tell all types of stories. It cannot be validated, it cannot be proven, even if you have to be taken to court. Where will we go? Ambazonia is not yet a recognized nation. Then people will laugh at you in your face and say, ha ha ha, what will you do to me? Rightfully so. So if there are just some traits of people wanting to do such things, I mean, they should be kicked out from their positions or called out, so that people know who such people are, and then you don't entrust them with money, with material, with whatever is meant for our suffering people and for our restoration quest. So all those, to answer your question, all those who are in any position to bring others to book, to point out some irregularities, we should stay firm. We should hold on to our interim constitution and not onto our codes of conduct, ethical codes, and then apply them as much um, uh, as good as we can. So we should not be intimidated. Read the interim constitution, know your rights and your duties as a citizen. Then nobody can come to tell you anything contrary. So don't be intimidated by bullies, because those who come to intimidate others, to bully others, they must go around the interim constitution, and then they know about it, but they would prefer to keep it aside because that would indict them. So yes, we should show some open eye, I would say,
Thank you.
when
Thank you very
somebody is doing
much.
something
Thank
that is
you.
not right. So
Yeah.
that is what was being done in the Draws government, in the government of Foncha and Endele at the time. So that is, we have restored that independence. That government is here. That way of life is here. It is still on the books. It is with us in the diaspora. We know on ground zero, when you try to go out and shout Ambazonia, that could be your death sentence. But out here, we should not be intimidated by anybody. We should start living it, because that's what the international community would see, that we are serious, we can govern ourselves, we can solve our own problems, we are a nation of upright people, and then they will have no other choice than have to treat us accordingly and then accord us our independence. Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick add, Comrade Peter. I want to ask you this, just to add to what he has said. He has invoked something here that is very, very serious. We are in the diaspora, and some of the leaders in the diaspora are very, very recalcitrant in that they have been caught real-handed in mismanagement. And when they are taken off the position, they sit tight, and they have a connection of friends who are birds of the same feathers, and they hang out together and they hold tight, and then they grab a position, a certain portion of people, and they run around with them. In such a situation, or the newly appointed or the elected or called person, what should he do? Should he chicken out to allow that person who is now a bully, or should he stay put and receive all the bullets of that individual, or the individuals, the few people that has been carried away? What do you, since we don't have courts, or we don't have prisons, and they are so, I mean, they are doing it with impunity and so serious, what do we do in such a situation?
Just to answer that question, one thing is certain, which I'm impressed. The though the impunity is in ground zero and they have a certain mentality, coming to this idea of Ambazonia and restoring independence, a good section of the population already knows what we want to institute. So these bullies around who think that they sit one day, they get up one day, they don't like this person's face, he should go away no matter what the rules are. What should the people do? What should we do? What has been done is the right thing. They've been kicked out, right? That is ethics. They've been kicked out. If there was a way to try them, we would, but we don't have. They've been kicked out. Let them go around doing what they are doing, because what would put them away in their positions is the population in ground one would just over time will ignore them, and they will not exist again. And then what happens, as Comrade Titanta said, we are recording these things. We are recording them down the line, years to come. Somebody has to answer questions as to what they were doing. So the best thing is for us, in order not to distract ourselves a lot, go on with what we are doing already, which is okay. Those who have gone out and think they could now create a government, let them create it. It's very unethical according to us. Let them create it, but they will just die down and they will answer questions down the line. That's my take.
Thank you very much. Before we cross over to Dr. Titanta, my co-host, it appears you have something to say before you call in Dr. Titanta.
At this time, thank you, Pastor Commando. Thank you, Mr. Peter. And we are taking care of business. We are taking care of business. That means that every person who is disrupting, every person who is unethical is being handled the right way. That means that they can go create their own government, just like Mr. Peter said. And then if they are doing the right thing, they will be fighting La République and not us. But of course, we know that's not what they'll be doing because they are unethical people. We are going to follow ethics and do the right thing. That means that we will be working with our ground zero, with our restoration forces, with ourselves amongst us here who believe in total restoration and independence from La République. We will follow our constitution and we will get there. That's what I was smiling at and ready to add on to Mr. Peter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Dr. Titanta, before you step in, here in the chair people and the leaders and so on, when they are voted out by maybe their constituents and they sit tight with the title, you think that back home, because back home, when we finally get back home physically, they shall be sitting on seats like we are sitting like this now and have offices. Do you think that when they are voted out, like it's done here, and they're sitting tight back home, will they be able to go and fight the seat with a new person that has been set into that office for the person to sit tight? What do you take?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, I was really thrilled listening to Comrade Peter Tansi talking and laying down what need to be done, and I was really impressed with the idea of whistleblowers. I think these are things that we should really make sure that these institutions are well established and well protected. We should encourage, and in addition to that, we should encourage a very strong and independent investigative journalism in our society that is highly protected. And when people go out and investigate these things, that they will not fear that anything should. Building our strong institutions is what matters, and nobody shall be above our institution. So nobody, when we reach back home, as we are now building our institution, nobody will be able to be above our institution. No one shall be above the law. Our law shall be strong. Our law shall not be a respecter of person, shall not be a respecter of people in place, whatever position they hold. So it's very important. And now what we are doing here also, by educating ourselves, educating our people and ourselves, our people are also knowing this thing and knowing how to become also agents that will also monitor, that will make sure that these things are implemented. So education is one of the things that the thing that will help us to avoid this unethical financial conflict of interest. So it's very important. I don't think people will be able to escape. We are coming from a very strong background. Ambazonia, former British Cameroon, we already knew, we already had a country that was functioning on strong laws. The laws were very strong. Nobody could be above that law. So we know what we are going to. We have already reinstated our independence, and we are just going to implement it because it will be even be stronger. Well, at the beginning of this show, sometime when somebody quoted the scripture, I say, the glory of this latter house shall even far outweigh the former glory of the former house. This will be better because we are coming in with knowledge. When Foncha, Endele, Joa, they were building, they had no reference point, but we are privileged that we have a reference point. We are privileged that we know what we were before, and we can even be better. We will do better. We will be better. Donald Trump used to say, building better. We will build better and stronger. Another thing I want to add to this, to avoid is our country will be made of civil servants that are well paid. People will be paid very well. That nobody will need to go and try to do any embezzlement or corruption. No, because people are well paid. In Africa, it is possible. We have countries like Rwanda, which is today, when you look at Rwanda, teachers in Rwanda are paid almost €1,000 in Africa. Meanwhile, countries like La Republica, teachers are earning less than 100,000. This is not right. What do you expect from teachers? They will go into corruption. What do you expect from people who are not well paid? They will get. So we are going to build up institutions. We are blessed. We are really blessed people. So there's nothing to worry about.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Dr. Tom, are you saying something?
Yes, and just to add to that, just shortly, I'll remind us of how things used to be back in the days where I was not around then, but late Molanjoli Tumbe, who was a walking encyclopedia of what happened back in the days, he said corruption was stamped out, not say, well, from a certain amount, if you misappropriate a certain amount of money, then they'll prosecute you. No, say the least amount, starting from 100 colonial francs, even 1,000 colonial francs CFA. If that is found, you are found lacking of such money, then not only will you be prosecuted, your name will come out in the newspapers. And then, if possible, you'll be given some time, even for little amounts, you might go to jail, even just for a day or for some few hours, so that people know that such a thing is not to be tolerated under no circumstances. So it was really, really a very just and ethical system at the time. People who barely had a first school leaving certificate and were primary school teachers, grade one teachers, and well, I mean, we just had Dr. Endele there and others. So, I mean, they had this sense of moral rectitude, which we will also instill into Ambazonia of today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we call it quit for today, we're going to do our rounding up. I just want to say and tell the Ambazonian people that ASSC2 is coming up in Washington on the 10th to the 13th of March 2022, and Ambazonians of goodwill, not the Ambazonians that have been bought over and want to sell us back to the Republic, but Ambazonians of goodwill will come there to take decisions and pave a way that is taking us back to our homeland. Somebody said here, and I concord, where our land has been restored. And when you hear us quoting Joa and Endele and all those people, is because we want to go back to that rule. In that rule, I happen to have tested a bit of that rule. In that, when I was growing up, you'll find a family selling banana or cocoyam. They will bring the banana or cocoyam and put it by the corner of the road, and nobody is standing there. Now they know that if you are having 2 bananas, it is 1 shilling or 1 penny, or if it is 7 bananas, it is this amount of money. You will come there, drop your money, take your change, and take your banana and go. You will not take the
Yep.
money that another person.
Yep.
That is how there was no corruption when I was
Yep.
growing up. There was no corruption. But today, when we got mixed up with Franco, with the La Republique of Cameroon, go and try to put your banana there with a 7-year-old Pekin to look for the banana. Before you come, the
It will
banana,
be gone.
all the money.
Plus the
So,
Peking.
plus the Peking, yeah, plus the Peking. So we want to tell those Ambazonians who have grown up in that mess that we, like Dr. Dula has quoted, he wasn't there, but he has grown up to learn and hear what was being said, and he is now quoting it. So we are telling all of us who are alive and going back to our country that these are the virtues that we had in that land. All right, before our time is running out, I will be concluding very soon. I'll hand over to my co-host to make possible last words and contributions, and then we'll now go around for 2 minutes, and then we'll be calling it a quit for today. Over to you, my co-host.
Thank you for a spirited discussion again on financial conflict of interest. Just to concur or to give you guys another story on what life was in the day. I know in the day when you worked 2 weeks after your salary, you received it. So that just like here in foreign countries or in the Western world where you go to work, after 2 weeks you got paid. That's how it was. Nowadays, people have to give part of their salaries to the minister to get their money back. We are going to institute going back to being paid after 2 weeks of work. That way, we will not have financial conflicts of interest. We are going to institute policies that will prevent financial conflict of interest. We are looking forward to next week again, and we are looking forward to you guys coming and listening to what we are going to be teaching each other and ourselves and everyone. And to the panelists and my co-host, thank you guys. Thank you for a spirited conversation and for being brave people. Our technical difficulties, we went through it. We are still sitting here and we're smiling and we're going on. This is the Ambazonia that we are going to have in the future. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank
You
you.
made the day.
Thank
It is
you.
a pleasure to have you. And so I will give 2 minutes to our panelists to give us their closing remarks for today. And I am telling you, next week, we shall be coming back with something, to continue to keep us alert. Now, I will come over to you, Comrade Peter, to give us your closing remarks in 2 minutes. And it was a great pleasure having you on board today. Come many more times. Over to you.
Okay, yeah, okay. Thanks to all our televiewers, especially in Ground Zero and all over the world. Um, just a closing remark. We are doing all this to educate ourselves. We are learning and we will implement it in Ground Zero when we are running our affairs. As Dr. Ndula said something, I will add to that, that we already have a reference point, which was our formal state being run by the Endeles, the Dwas, and the Fonchas. We have that reference point. Added to that, we have the reference point that we are in different parts of the world, different countries that these our former leaders didn't have the opportunity to have. Even when they studied, they just studied and they went back. They didn't have the experience of living in the country and getting the ethical values. We had that reference points. They kept us. We also have another reference point, the countries in which we are living in. We are educating ourselves. We will take it, and all of us will build a great country out there for ourselves. A person is only great when his country is great. If you are great alone, you are despised if your country is nothing. So thank you for listening to us.
Thank you very much for those very important, touching remarks, for your closing remarks. I want to remind you, just get ready, 10th to the 13th of March. That's a few weeks from here. We are gathering at Washington, D.C. for the ASSC, all stakeholders. How do you put it, Dr. Lula? Can you help me?
Yes.
Ambazonian stakeholders,
Ambazonian,
what?
yes. Uh,
Stake-
all
Stakeholders.
Ambazonian stakeholders strategic conference.
Okay,
Yes. So
Ambazonia
to
Stakeholders
review,
Strategic
yes,
Conference
to review
coming
our
up on the 10th to the
revolution.
13th of March
Yes.
2022. And all Ambazonians we don't want children, we want matured people. When I talk of matured people, I'm not talking about the aged, because there are some aged people who are really elderly people, but the wisdom that's supposed to come upon them is gone. So we want people who are really matured to say things that we plan for Ambazonia for the next 100 years or 1,000 years, not people who are just seeing now. We want people who look into the future. I don't want to call them a spiritual name. We'll call them seers. Okay, seers, see into the future. All right, we'll cross over to you, Dr. Ndula. Give us your closing remarks before we get back to Dr. Titanta to give us closing remarks. I will call it quit for today.
Yes. Thank you, Pastor Commander. Thank you to all the panelists who are there today, fellow Ambazonians. We are 5 years into our God-ordained revolution struggle for our total independence. We've restored the independence that was stolen from us 61 years ago by La République and France and the international community after it was clearly given promise to us that on the 1st of October, they said on 21st April 1961 that on the 1st of October 1961, we were to become independent and join La République du Cameroon. But on that day, nobody wanted to hear about independence except our struggling founding fathers and our leaders at the time. Well, the powers that be decided otherwise. Today, under former President Sisiko, that restoration, that independence has been restored. And we are just going to demand it from the international community that they keep to their words and give it to us. Along the way, it has been a bumpy ride with people trying to do the impossible, create parallel structures, which could lead to parallel chains of commands and infighting among our brave fighters. Something very, very wicked, and that we don't have to condone. So all those things talking about this and that, how the leaders are, presidential term limits, elections, whatever. Yes, anybody can propose anything, but it is a constituent assembly of all of Ambazonia that has to decide on those things and even decide on the interim constitution. It overrides everything in Ambazonia, every institution, and even the interim constitution. That constituent assembly will be taking place from the 10th to the 13th of March 2022, in just under 2 weeks, in Washington, D.C. And everybody is invited to attend. It will be mostly on Zoom, and all your propositions, all your problems and troubles, channel them through your LGA and county heads and regional and country coordinators, so that they be brought there for deliberations and final decision. So thank you all, and stay ethical and follow your consciences. Know that we are not fighting for ourselves, but for 8 million Ambazonians, the majority of whom are still suffering on ground zero. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ndula, for that, for your closing remarks. They are very pungent, and I'm sure that the Ambazonian people are getting it. We are learning. The conference is not going to be for those who don't have a home. Those who have a home, you must come from your LGA, you must come from your county. It's not just going to be for anybody who is on the street and doesn't know after the conference where to go. No, you must be coming from a home. And that's why you need to connect to your LGA with your chairman, and the county with the chairman, and the department you are, so that you can be recognized. You may have something very good to say, but if you are just picking it up from the street, we know that tomorrow it can be destroyed. And so be in your county and contribute positively for what is going on. Dr. Ndula, over to you, sir. I'm sorry,
Dr. Titanta.
Dr. All right, sorry.
All
Your
right.
name is really easy to pronounce, so.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Fellow Ambazonians, I just want us to remind ourselves that this indeed is a God-ordained revolution. God is in control. And God never promised us that everything would be a ride in the park. But one thing He promised us, that it may be bumpy, as Comrade Ndula has said, but He will be with us.
Amen.
Remember, there is a scripture that says, "Count it all joy when you go through diverse trials. For the trial of your faith works in you patience." Fellow Ambazonian, be patient. Fellow Ambazonian, develop courage. When the children of Israel were about to enter the promised land, and Moses had handed the baton to Joshua, God came back and repeated, said, "Joshua, have I not commanded you to be courageous and strong?" I am speaking right now to the leadership of the interim government. Hear the word of God to you. Be courageous and strong. Be courageous and strong. God will take us to the place He has started. He will take us, for He that has begun the good work will perfect it. God is true. The children of Israel had to spend 40 years in the wilderness because God wanted to rid them of some bad seed. God wanted to get rid of people like the Akans. God is doing the same thing amongst us. So count it all joy. Be courageous and strong. Trust God. Don't lean on your own understanding, because He that has begun, as I said, He will perfect it.
Yeah.
Let us look at ASST2 as a point of reassembly. Don't look at it as a retreat, like the Canadian retreat. No. As the word really says, the strategizing program where our people will gather and re-strategize with the help of God and bounce back more powerfully than ever before. God bless all of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those encouraging words, Dr. Titanta. I'm just very optimistic that we are going to make it at the end because, when we came in and said it was God ordained, different from our forefathers who were doing the struggle, the Freemasons stepped in there with their sacrifices and even used some of us to sacrifice in order to keep La Republic in power. Today, we have come with a bigger sacrifice that was sacrificed not only for one person, but for the whole of Ambazonia in the person of Jesus Christ. And this nation has been handed over to him. And so, Ambazonians, if you are truly for this struggle to get back home, please, I want to find out from you, or you find out for yourself. Do you pay your CID? Have you your CID for last year? Have you completed it? And what about your draft? You drafted. Was it a pledge you make? Have you redeemed it? Have you paid your pledge for your draft for 2021? And we are in 2022. What is your contribution? Are you building? Are you a pillar or are you a caterpillar? Well, a caterpillar is that individual who tells a lot of lies in order to break down. I've been hearing of some people, they call them coup plotters. I don't know actually, what is your business? You have installed or have your own, the president of the coup plotters. Can you go ahead now and take La Republic out of our land? Because that's what we are after. We don't want you to come and turn your guns against at Ambazonians. Yeah, any Ambazonian that will say, I want to fight my own way, go ahead and fight your own way. Don't fight the people that are in the house. Don't take the interim government to be your target. And all that you are talking is interim government, interim government. No, now that you have the baton in your hands, go ahead. Take out La Republique from our land. That's all we want. That's what we want to hear. So thank you very much, panelists. We are marching on. And to quote one last quote is, Jesus said, those who are not uh, with us and working with us, they are against us. And we know that La Republique is against us. The rest of the people who are against us are automatically La Republique. But if they are Ambazonians for real, our prayers and our tenacity in doing what we're supposed to do will give them reason. It will be a wheel blower for them to come back. So thank you very much, Dr. Titanta. Thank you, Dr. Dula. Thank you, Comrade Peter. And thank you so much, my co-host. I'm sure she's frozen now. Thank you. It was a wonderful day. And we call it a date for another week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks.
As is the motto of the interim government, independence now, politics later.
Later, yes.
Yeah.
Independence now.
Yeah.
So we are
Politics
teaching
later.
us. Yeah, so
That
we are
is
teaching
it.
us so that when we get to the politics later, we shall be very good at the politics later. Meanwhile, the fight for independence now continues simultaneously with what we are doing because we are not going to disrupt the fight. So that's why we always interject. If you are a true Ambazonia, bring your contribution and then put the Kelebes on their flight back to their land, and then we get down to our home. Thank you. Once again, thank you. Is our
Thank
technician
you.
there
Bye.
to take
Thank
us?
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
God bless all of us.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Let me see. Our technicians have forgotten us inside here that we are shouting bye. Bye. All right. Wow. Are you guys still there?
We are still here.
Oh, you're still there?
Almost gone.
Yeah, I'm trying to get our technicians to get us out from the studios. I'm calling and
That's wonderful.